right now on No More Down Low. The Bible.
Men are being feminized and women are becoming masculine.
For decades, religious clergy have made homosexuality the #1 sin with their misinterpretation of the scriptures.
What does the Bible really say about homosexuality? I'm Janora McDuffie. We'll turn to biblical scholars for the answers.
This is homophobia 101.
Then, youth out on the hill.
How hard are we really pushing to get the people who are not in the room in the room?
And I'm Kendall Hogan. They're young, they're black, and they're LGBT. Here's the surprising observations from these gay activists about members of their own generation.
The young people are lost.
And she was the toast of the Sundance Film Festival. Now her long-awaited coming-of-age film is finally hitting the big screen. Janora goes one-on-one with Pariah director Dee Rees. Plus, we'll take you to BentCom, a one-of-a-kind comic book convention where the fans come face-to-face with their favorite gay comic book creators. It's all coming up next on No More Down Low.
I'm Frenchie Davis, and this is No More Down Low.
It's all about the winter wonderland. Hello everyone and welcome to our show. I'm Kendall Hogan.
And I'm Janora McDuffie. Tonight we are in Pershing Square, which is downtown Los Angeles, where the Department of Recreation and Parks have turned this into a beautiful winter escapade.
Later on I'll give you a little bit of LGBT history about the park, and I might even ice skate. Yes, I might.
You heard it from him. We'll see about that. But first up, we've got Mark Noble and his report on Bible myths and the misinterpretation against gays.
Mark is just a couple blocks away at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Angels here in downtown Los Angeles. Mark.
Well, Kendall and Janora, this story couldn't be more timely, given that some 3,000 miles away from here in Atlanta, a key quoter of scripture and anti-gay sentiment is on the radar. Bishop Eddie Long, who had been accused of having sexual relations with young men, announced that he was stepping away from the pulpit to be with his family. This on the heels of his wife of many years filing for divorce. So we now explore the misuse of the pulpit and the biblical myths aimed at discriminating against gays.
This is homophobia 101.
And the problem today, and the reason why society is like it is because men are being feminized and women are becoming masculine.
Anti-gay words that littered with irony as a web of hypocrisy surrounded Eddie Long this summer when he was accused of an alleged sex scandal involving young men.
I feel like David against Goliath, but I got 5 rocks and I haven't thrown one yet.
What he meant was, he was telling those boys, go Goliath over there and I'll join you in a minute.
Long is not alone in his fire and brimstone message that too often is found in some of the 65,000 black churches around the country, including the so-called megachurches.
It comes from homophobia is a very powerful thing. And if you think you can have a verse or a story that you can throw on the head of a gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender person to hurt them or harm them, then they're happy to do it.
And according to religious scholar Dr. Sylvia Rhue, verse is oftentimes mistranslated and in many cases manipulated to fit the pulpit.
Who were dead in trespasses and sins.
Many of the people who quote the Bible know their quotes, but they don't know anything about church history. And I've noticed that most people's theology is like 3 questions deep. When I get to the 4th question, they'll say, oh, whatever, because they, first of all, they don't want to hear you anymore if you tell them anything different from what they know to be true.
And they will sit there and look up at your leadership and say, your pastor gay, I know he gay. You know why? Because the devil knows his relatives.
Which is why Rhue broke down a number of myths, including the #1 condemnation: the Bible condemns same-gendered relationships.
The Bible is actually silent on consensual sexual acts and sexual orientation.
Then he goes on to say in verse number 3,
the term The word homosexual did not make it into any English translation of any Bible in the United States until 1946. So we've only been dealing with the term homosexual being in the Bible since 1946, and when it's put there, it's a mistranslation of the original Aramaic, Greek, or Hebrew.
Or myth number 2. The Old Testament teaches that God destroyed an entire city because of homosexuality. We see an interpretation here in the Last Days of Sodom and Gomorrah trailer found on YouTube.
Sodom by Gomorrah.
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is a power myth that has been used as a heterosexual propaganda tool to damage gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people. The Bible itself in Ezekiel 16 verses 49 and 50 tells you that the sin of Sodom was that they were unhospitable to their neighbors, and they were greedy and gluttonous, had nothing to do with homosexuality. If you read that story, it's really a story about the rape of women and that not being a problem, incest between Lot and his 2 daughters. Right after Sodom is destroyed, they have sex and they get pregnant by him. And also it's about the men of the city wanting to rape angels, which has nothing to do with homosexuality.
And myth number 3, the Bible calls homosexuality an abomination.
Now, to the word abomination, that is not even a Hebrew word. That doesn't exist in the Hebrew. The Hebrew word is toava, which means ritually unclean, to enter the temple. The idea that someone could come up with an abominable word like abomination and try to hurt another person with that is unconscionable.
What is clear, according to Dr. Rhue, is the church's inability to handle human sexuality at its most basic.
Especially in African American communities, the problems are biblical literacy and sexual illiteracy. So that's a bad combination.
And Dr. Rhue has this piece of advice for the gays and lesbians who find themselves constantly being attacked or confronted with the verse. She says, fight fire and brimstone with fire and brimstone. We are in downtown Los Angeles. Mark Noble for No More Down Low. Kendall, back to you.